So all meeting to order. Kathy, you got a roll call?
I do.
For approval of the agenda.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Any public comment?
No, sir.
Consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Reports, is there any questions on any of the reports? Okay. Did city have anything?
Just budget stuff.
No.
All we're working on right now is budget.
Regular agenda. Into the PFAS phase 2.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll take that. In your packets, memo 2420. Scott and I have been working with Bolton and Mank to look at PFAS mitigation approach, both short-term and long-term. We did meet with them. We have been meeting with them since the last commission meeting. They did send a letter dated September 19th. That's in your packets, kind of explaining their findings from phase 1 and the recommendation to move forward with phase 2. A couple things I want to point out is we're going to do some of our own testing for PFAS levels. The department, there's been some, the results that we're getting don't make logical sense. We determined that MDH is still using what's called the EPA method 533 protocol, which is a much older protocol. Bolton and Mank really wants to kind of figure out what the levels are. So they recommend we do our own testing using either 537 or 537.1. So we're moving forward on that. Again, they put together some evaluations, all of which is in the memo, so I recommend reading that. They also did submit on our behalf an application to the MPCA for a PFAS grant. The total grant request is for 1.5 million. We did that much, assuming worst case, in case we need to do some major capital efforts. But at the very least, that'll help fund some of the expenditures to date that we're incurring to address the PFAS results that we found. So we have completed phase 1, so we are looking at moving forward with phase 2, which will be to explore this even further. Estimated cost for that portion of the study is between $55,000 and $75,000. So we are asking for the commission to approve the phase 2 study with a budget of $75,000 to continue addressing this issue. I guess that's kind of it's very high level summary of everything that's in there. It is an issue that we know that we need to address with the new EPA MCLs that came out earlier this year.
It's had to be been put into a position by a very incapable government process.
In terms of
Great word, but-
yeah, in terms of it's we just want to make sure we're basing all of our decisions on that kind of data.
Well, I mean, I don't care what our data is, if we get our own.
I think if we get to the point where we're right on the edge, I think we can have that discussion at that point and make a very solid argument for why the more accurate protocol is something that we want to use. I would anticipate, though, that
That's assuming that ours would come back lower than
I think that's the alternative testing deal is kind of a really small portion of it. We're just gonna essentially verify their test results on each of the different spots that we're pulling from. That's a pretty minimal in the grand scheme of what they're all after.
yeah, what happened with Department of Health's last go round on this was they measured a certain PFAS level at well 8. They measured a certain PFAS level or PFOS level at well 9. And then their measurement for the intake into the system, which is a combination of well 8 and 9, was actually higher than either of the individual wells. That's just not physically possible. So that shows that the protocol is just not accurate. There's enough variation in that noise that it's not giving us a good.
I mean, there could be other reasons for that, but it wouldn't be from the water. It might be from the system.
It's, well, I get it.
In the system.
Bolton Bank seems to feel that it's just the testing protocol is, that's just the inaccuracy in the testing. You can test the same water over and over again and get slightly different results, just by the nature of it. So part of what we want to do is we want to do our own testing so we can dial that in a little bit more, which gives us a much better understanding of the issue that we're facing.
And we're close, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we're
Right.
way over, it's like, and we might test it 100 times, I think.
No. It's very close, which is why the protocol comes into question, because it gets more inaccurate the lower the levels are.
Yeah.
To give you an example of what we're talking about, I have it over here. I thought it was interesting. What did they say? It's the equivalent of a, Scott, do you remember?
It was, I don't remember the exact one with
It
the,
was something like,
something in Silver Lake is what she had.
Yeah, it was like a glass of water in Silver Lake is what we're talking about. Is that low of a concentration.
or like a 55-gallon barrel of Molax or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, when you get down to levels of that low a concentration, it gets hard. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just,
because every little test could have just that.
Mhm.
could-
Yeah, and then, they're using, I mean, it's a pretty small bottle that they sample with. I mean, trying to think, maybe 12-ounce bottle. I'm trying to pull a lot of different ones, but they're not taking 5 gallons at a time to sample this, or hundreds of gallons. It's a a glass of it essentially that they're using to sample this. It's just,
From it, I think they're, yeah, the level,
Mhm.
in general.
and they do, they actually take a blank or a dummy sample that they pour the water from one bottle into the other bottle, so that anything that might have fallen off their clothes, hair, any of that stuff, or in the building, that they try to capture that and then use that as a type of back that off, or, so it's a kind of technical, but not, I mean, it's looking for so much, such a small amount in there.
but Scott's right. I mean, that is a small portion of what the study is. The study is really to look at
Yep.
treatment options. We're looking at some optimizing of treatment plant 1 as well, if we need to lean on 7 more. But also start doing the hydrogeology in a well site study to determine, okay, if we have to completely abandon 9, where would we? So we have to start figuring that out. So we're gonna work all those in parallel with each other, and see where the data takes us.
So you're looking for a motion to approve, entry into phase 2?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
I just want to add to it, for the public perception side of it, we have to be out in front of it.
Yeah,
Look like we're not just.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve, the PFAS phase 2. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried, 3-0. Do the Northland Security engagement letter.
Mr. Chair, I'll take this one as well. So I met with George Eilertson, who's done our bonding on the electric half line. Excuse me. If the commissioner calls, the commission did approve us to move forward on the North Tower reconditioning project, which is estimated to be about, let's just say $700,000. We could, in theory, pay for that out of the cash reserves, but given some of the other capital projects we have coming up over the next few years, I think it's at least prudent to explore a bonding option for that project. So I was talking to George about it. George mentioned that the city may be looking at doing a bonding effort for a fire truck, approximately $700,000.
More like 800,000.
Okay.
Almost 9.
Yeah, bonding, again, from what I've always been told is when you're under $1 million, it's kind of, I mean, the cost to do it get a little bit out of whack. Once you get above $1 million, it makes, you can spread those costs over and it makes sense. If the city's looking at borrowing some money and we could benefit from borrowing some money, it might make sense for the city and utility to go together on a GO bond, say for more of $1.5 million to $1.7 million kind of thing. Get a nice favorable interest rate, and then the city would pay their share, utility would pay their share. Since George works with both Michelle and I, both the city and the utility on this, there might be an opportunity to do a joint bonding effort. So part of it for the fire truck, part of it for the water tower. That would keep our cash reserves intact for the other capital projects we have coming up, like 3rd Street in a couple of years, and then what's after that? Is it 4th?
2nd Street, 4th Avenue.
So there are a couple of other street reconstructs coming down the pike. In addition, with this PFAS issue that we've just discussed, obviously keeping some cash reserves in hand might be prudent as well, because we don't know how that's going to play out. So I at least wanted to give the commission the option. So the engagement letter is to allow us to work with George to kind of put some numbers together and see if it makes sense for us to bond for next year's North Tower reconstruction activity. It's not saying that we will, it's just allowing us to work with them and come with a recommendation to the commission at a later date. So I would just be looking for a motion to accept the engagement letter.
That doesn't mean that we are actually doing any bonding, it's just saying that we're gonna help, we have the possibility of opening it.
Correct. Under, as I understand it, under law, because it's fiduciary obligation, that it does need to be, there needs to be an official engagement letter before anyone can do any work on a particular project.
Make the motion to accept the engagement letter.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to accept the engagement letter. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Your motion carries. I just want to make a comment on one of the, I mean, I'm in favor of not borrowing money.
Yeah.
But just, you know, to keep the options open. But just want to make sure to put that out there.
Yes.
That's where I stand. If you have the money, you don't borrow it, but tell you.
And if I could, just to, again, explain a little bit of the reasoning, at least why I want to give the commission the option. The tower reconstruct project, like I said, is estimated about 700,000. The individual street reconstructs on the water side is probably going to be less than that. So this would be the project to bond on just from a size perspective. It would be much harder to bond for a smaller capital project. I'm not saying it couldn't happen and we still couldn't go in together with the city on something, but that's part of the reason why I think at least, you know, making sure we do our due diligence. What is the prudent one. But yes, your point is well taken.
And maybe we do or don't do this, but I think it's just another step in the very positive directions we've been going with our communication and working with the city things in general. For example, you would never heard this not many years ago.
Okay. Delinquent bills and property tax assessments.
Captain, do you want to take that one?
Sure. Memo 2421 is a summary of the delinquent bills that we will be submitting for property tax assessments to the 2025 property taxes. It's both Mille Lacs and Sherburne County. These are final bills that have not been paid. They're outstanding. More than 45, 60 days.
Oh, yeah, yep.
More than 60 days past due. They're only allowed to assess once a year, so that's, you know, why we went to 60 days. We will still accept payments from, before they go to the county. You know, and remove them so they wouldn't be assessed.
You need a motion from us then to.
Yes, yes.
Are they notified individually that we are going to?
Yes, they've each
So
received,
they would have an option then to.
yep, the property owner has received a letter, whether it be a renter or themselves.
And the previous person who either owned the property or lived at the property has also gone through all of our collection efforts as well. So we'll still continue to try and collect from that person. But once the property is sold, then we would collect it from the property owner.
But no, a renter, how can you assess property taxes for renters?
You are allowed to for water and sewer under state
Okay.
statute.
But that goes to the owner of the property, then, okay.
Correct. Once approved by the commission, it then also needs to go in front of the city council for their approval, and then the city is the one that sends it to county for assessment. And to Kathy's point, if we receive payment, at any point along that process, we can remove them from the list at that time.
I should have been familiar with that, because I did, and I'm sure Dan is too.
Yeah, we've done this every year. We'll entertain a motion to.
You know, probably do school memo 24-21.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second to approve memo 24-21. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-2.
Motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry if I may. Paul mentioned that he is unable to be here at the next meeting. It's really where we introduce the budget and things like that, and obviously Paul, keep you up to date on all of that. I guess I didn't know if the commission wanted to try to reschedule for that. Paul, I don't know how long you were going to be out, but I just wanted to put that in front of the commission just so that you guys know that there is a conflict for the Paul.
Another date that works.
The week before or the week after.
I can do either one.
Yeah,
I would rather do the week before.
That's fine.
yeah, I think we're getting into the budget stuff, we could have us all here.
16th.
Could we do the 15th? I have the SIPA annual meeting Wednesday and Thursday.
On the 15th.
Yep.
I will confirm with Barry to make sure that this is available for Tuesday, the 15th. But if I would like that in a motion if I could, just to adjust the schedule.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to change the October meeting to October 15th at 1 p.m. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries.
Now motion to adjourn.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good.